Okay, it's 5 past 12. My name is Vinay Raghunandan. I kept my video for the starting, but just to save a little bit of data. I hope you guys are all well. Welcome to the Young Academic Society Referencing Workshop. I hope it's beneficial to everyone. I'd like to introduce Nokukanya and Sponiso from the Writing Place. They will be assisting us today. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us to your workshop.
Thank you so much as well for inviting us. It is an honor to be here.
Just some ground rules. Can I please ask everyone to mute themselves? Okay, over to you, Sponiso and Nukukanya.
Okay, greetings, guys. My name is Sponiso Mkhize, as has been said. I come from the Writing Place with my colleague Nokanya Mbonambi. We'll be doing a presentation to you guys with regards to the Writing Place and academic writing as a whole. So what we do tonight at the Writing Place, we do not edit your work. What we do is we look at the structure, the way you've written the essay you're referencing, and we advise you on where to make changes in order to make your work more presentable.
Sponiso, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Hello.
Hi.
Sorry. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sponiso Mkhize. I come from the Writing Place with my colleague Nokanya Mbonambi. So we're just going to be doing a presentation to you colleagues on academic writing and most importantly referencing. So just to say what we do at the Writing Place, we look at the structure of the essay. We don't normally we don't deal with editing or correcting your work. When we correct, we're correcting the grammar and the referencing of the essay, and also see if you're answering the question correctly with what the topic or the question in the topic is asking you to do in the essay. So we're just going to be presenting to you on what we do. And if you have any question, if you have any questions or need more clarity, I think there's a raise your hand feature on this app, but yeah, we will take any questions. So I'll hand you over to Nokanya, who starts with the presentation.
Good morning, everyone. As Sponiso has already mentioned, I am Nokukanya Mbonambi. May I kindly share my screen?
Sure. I'm not exactly sure how you can request that, but let's try.
Okay.
Okay, you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone, once again. As I already mentioned, my name is Nokukanya Mbonambi from the Writing Place. Briefly, I will take you all through essay writing.
Hey, Yazan, Excel on iPhone.
I'll take you all briefly through essay writing. So where do we start when we going to write an essay or going to construct an essay? Firstly, you have to understand the question. What is the essay asking of you? If you are unclear about the question, you have to go to your tutor and ask the tutor to break down the question for you. We also assist the students at the writing place to break down questions for them in order for them to understand the question so they'll be able to answer it effectively. So you need to understand what the question is, what are the parts of the question, and how many things it is asking you to do, and what are they? What concepts will you need to define to write the essay? What are the central ideas and terms being used in the question? What are the differences between the relevant academic views? I will give you an example of this. Currently, the criminology students, first-year students, have an essay which says they need to critically discuss the concept of crime as well as the factors which contribute to it. As you can see, this question, you can identify that it has two parts to it. The first part is critically discussing the concept of crime, and the other part is the factors which contribute to crime. You can already see the concepts which need to be defined in this essay. The concept is crime, as well as the factors that you will be discussing in the essay, where be disorganized communities, poverty, unemployment. These are just examples. And since it says critically discuss the concept of crime, you have to find different academic views. You need to state, maybe for instance, from this perspective, this is how they define crime. From the other perspective, this is how they define crime, and find different examples on it. I will move on to words which are usually used in essay questions. You also need to understand what does the question mean exactly? We will go through a few words which are often used in essays. For example, the essay will ask you to discuss. What does it mean when they say discuss? Discuss means you have to investigate or examine. You have to write about the topic in detail, taking into account different viewpoints, giving reasons for and against a certain topic, and then drawing your conclusion on it. When they say critically discuss, critical means, to be critical means you have to look without having preconceived ideas or opinions which are not based on reason or evidence. Here you need to give your verdict of the extent to which a statement or findings within a piece of research are true. You may need to state to what extent you agree with them. Make sure to consider sources which both agree and contradict an argument. Then come to a final conclusion. Analyze means you have to break down an issue into parts, then discuss and look in depth at each part, each issue, considering arguments for and against each part. And also you can show how these parts relate to each other. Assess. You need to weigh up to what extent something is true. Pay attention to the positive, to the negative, and uncertain aspects of it, and use references to back up your claims. Define means you need to give a meaning or interpretation of something in detail and in a specific reference or a given context. To examine means you need to look close in detail and establish the key factors and important issues surrounding a topic. Therefore, you should try to offer reasons why the facts and issues you have identified are the most important. To what extent? This implies that there is no definite answer to the question posed. Therefore, you need to present both sides of the argument and exercise judgment by stressing the strength of some of the arguments over others. Describe. Describe, it means you just have to provide a detailed explanation as to how and why something happens. Explain. Explain is very similar to describe, which I have mentioned, and analyze. Here you need to clarify a topic by giving a detailed account on how things work and how they come to be. With distinguish, you're usually given two concepts which you need to differentiate from. You will need to show that you understand the differences between the two concepts. The similarities and the differences need to be discussed thoroughly in your essay. I will move on to the structure of the essay. Overall, Any essay must have an introduction, a main text or body, conclusion, as well as references. In the conclusion, this is where you state the main aim or purpose of the essay. You also highlight the key issues that you are going to address in your essay. I always advise students that you need to give a brief background or statements on the topic or the problem which you are about to present. I will give you an example of this using the example which I've already used of critically discuss the concepts of crime and the factors that contribute to it. This is how an essay should be structured, taking into account the factors which I've already mentioned. You can write, crime continues to be a serious problem in South Africa, as the country ranks third on the Global Crime Index as at 2019. This is a brief background on the problem which we are about to address. And you can even mention the impacts that this problem has. Crime impacts the general quality of life of ordinary citizens. Therefore, it is imperative to understand the concept of crime and the factors that contribute to it in order to implement effective crime prevention strategies. So since we're in university, obviously we're not just writing essays for the sake of writing it. We are writing this essay, for example, in order for us to be able to find solutions to it. And in every essay that you are writing, there is a purpose and an end purpose to it. Therefore, this essay will discuss the concept of crime and the factors that contribute to it in South Africa. These factors would include, for example, disorganized communities, ineffective criminal justice system, poverty, etc. And then you go on to your main body. Students often make the example of just when they're writing an essay, they ignore the introduction, they do not introduce the topic to us, and then get to the main body. It's important for you to have an introduction in your essay. The main body should be divided into parts, should be divided into specific aspects of the topic that you are going to talk about. For example, we use an example of disorganized communities as well as poverty. So your body has to give reasons and evidence for each point which you have talked about. Mention that you discuss only just one point in each of the main points which you will be discussing. The reader should be able to understand the relevance of each paragraph and how they relate to each other. Each paragraph needs to have a mini conclusion in the end, and it should link to the main paragraph. Avoid paragraphs that are too short as well as too long. A paragraph should be at least 6 sentences. The conclusion. The conclusion here, you just summarize your main points, but however, do not simply write down what you have done. Explain the significance of your conclusion and provide possible solutions of areas of research if you can. The paper at the end should set out, as you had already introduced, that you have achieved the objective or the aim of the essay that you are writing. An example of a conclusion, as using the same example I've been using, would be, in conclusion, this essay critically discussed the concepts of crime and the factors which contribute to it in South Africa. Overall, it is clear that the reasons why people get involved in crime, some people turn to crime simply by force or their circumstances, while others are motivated by greed and what they stand to gain. Therefore, this essay highlighted the importance of implementing crime prevention strategies, such as situational crime prevention strategies, crime prevention through social development, crime prevention, community crime prevention, and crime prevention by the criminal justice system in order to address all the mentioned contributing factors to crime. I will stop there, and then my colleague will go on to referencing.
Okay, thank you, Nokanya. Can I also share the screen, please? Miss Sonai, can I?
Nokanya, please transfer hostship to Siboniso so he can share his screen.
Sorry, Sonai?
Please transfer hostship to Siboniso so he can share his screen.
You can.
No, no Kanya. Okay, basically what I'm gonna be discussing with you is referencing and plagiarism. Now, what you need to understand with academic writing is that when someone writes something, it's their intellectual property. So when you're taking that person's ideas and work and you're writing it in your essay and you do not reference it means that you're stealing that, which is a very, very big offense, which might even result in expulsion from school. So you need to make sure that you acknowledge the person that you're referencing, whose ideas you're taking. Okay, I'm still not there. No, Kanya. Okay, so there are two ways of referencing. There's what we call paraphrasing. No, can you make me the host so I can share my screen?
How do I make you the host?
Hi guys, you can actually share the screen even if you're not the host. You can share the screen. You just click on share content.
No, I'm trying to say it's host in disabled attendee screen sharing.
Okay, so Nokanya can just go to meeting settings, scroll down to the very bottom, and then enable participant sharing. I think it's at the bottom or somewhere in that drop-down list.
And that,
okay. And there are students that are asking to be let into the meeting as well, so maybe please let them in as well. Nokanya.
I cannot see the meeting part of it.
No, on top.
The meeting setting. Oh,
Yeah,
ngaphezulu.
meeting, I think.
No, this was Spaniso.
Yeah, well.
Spaniso, is there another way we can do this, because you know about my problem in this laptop?
No, I can't. Yasmin, on this side. Go, I guess you have opened Zoom, like the top. There's supposed to be meetings. Might share your screen. Just share your screen.
Okay. Can I share my screen and then we do this?
Yeah. Can you guys please mute the background? Okay, close. Yeah, close. We'll close on PowerPoint.
Okay. Why is it avuleki?
No, yeah, please will apart view. Just close. Now close your PowerPoint thing presentation.
Yes, I've closed it.
Oh, you're not using an app.
And that's the problem. So that's why I'm not getting all these features.
Okay, click at the bottom of the video thing. The Zoom logo.
Okay.
We're really sorry about these technical difficulties.
It's, yeah.
Is it not allowing you to?
It's not allowing me to. And yet I'm not using the app, Sunji.
If you leave, does it make someone else a host? It's not allowing me.
Yes.
Boniso's name into the participants and then
okay,
put your cursor onto it and it'll give you more options.
Okay. Okay, yeah. I think I have done that now.
Okay, cool. It should.
Thank you.
There we go.
Repeating whatever into two
Okay.
was said on those audios in your slides.
Hello.
I hope
Yes.
you have your slides with you.
Excuse me, who's speaking?
Do
Okay,
you
can you hear me?
guys have your slides with you? Because I don't want to start something
Hello.
and then being
Master Lock,
disturbed,
can you please
in the
mute?
middle of the class. Do you have your slides with you?
Okay, I can't speak over this person. Okay, I'll try and speak. Okay, so in plagiarism, as you can see, it's seen as literally theft and unacceptable. So you need to show that you've taken this idea or this train of thoughts from someone else. You do this by paraphrasing. When you paraphrase, you will say according to this person, then the year in brackets, and then you continue to say what the person said, but in your own words. That's the most advisable way to reference, because that shows that you have understanding of the person's work. You're not just copying and pasting. But if you do, if you feel that copying and pasting the work as it is will drive your point more across, then you do that. But when you're copying the work as it is, you will then quote the work. Once you've quoted it, you will reference it at the end with the person's surname. So what I'm going to do now is just going to show you different examples of referencing, because when you reference, you don't only reference everything in the same way, because your sources might come from a book, from an internet source, from an internet source, from a newspaper article, from a video, a picture, or wherever you got your information from. For instance, let's say you're looking at referencing something with multiple authors. So when there's more than 2 authors, it's advisable, as you can see there, there's 4 to 6 authors here. You want in your in-text referencing, you cannot write all these people down, because it's not only wasting your space, but it's not practical to list them all. So you use this trick where you write the first person's surname only, and then you put the et al and then the year. So as you can see in this reference, this top one is for a paraphrase. As you can see, he's leading on his sentence saying, Belek et al. 1986 explains that knowing is. Then he continues to say what the authors have said, but in his own words. But if you're gonna be direct quoting, then it will be the quote in full as it is, and then at the end the same thing. Then if you have a page number, the page number will come here after semicolons. Okay, can you all hear me? And then another thing I wanted to say is that when you get an internet source, the mistake that students usually make is that they would go to, for example, let's say News 24. But when they get to News 24 and they're referencing the News 24, they will just write News 24 on their reference list. But that's not the correct way of doing it. When you in a site and there's a written piece of work there, in the site itself, at the top, there will be an author's name. So you just need to pay attention to that. Okay, let's say we're opening this topic of government lawyers inside about term to delay. Yes. Okay, we open that. When you look at that, you see at the top here, this is where they usually write who the author is, Murray Williams. So when you're referencing this, in your in-text references, you'll say Williams 2020 if you're paraphrasing. If you're direct quoting, you'll say direct quote and then Williams at the end 2020. And then when you go back to your reference list, that's when you write the whole reference in full. and then that's when you include the publication, which is news 24. Okay, so another thing is that in that case, when you're copying the URL address that you're supposed to include in the reference list, you need to copy the entire address at the top. This address, as you can see, you need to copy this entire thing and paste it in your reference list. So that's because the person who's reading the reference list needs to be directed directly to where you took the work. I'm getting feedback. Can you give me Okay. Can you please mute?
I can mute myself.
Yes, please.
Man, and I'm on the meeting. I'm muting.
Please mute. Tell us this.
Me? Is that me? Figure out a reference.
Okay. So as I said, there are different ways of referencing journal articles, printed, online, and yeah. But basically, what you need, okay, the basic gist of what you need from your information in order to reference, you need the person's surname, the year, the publication, the full title. If it is a journal article, the name of the journal, that the publication is from, in order to reference properly. Just wanted to show you a difference. Okay, yeah, the name of the journal article, and if it's a journal, it's usually publication volume and from page one to page one at the end. Like as you can see here at the bottom here, you have the volume number of the journal and the page from page one to page one. If it's a particular article in a journal where there's a lot of people who contributed to the journal of that month. But what we will do is we will send you. I'm not sure. Are you guys all in the humanities? In the humanities faculty?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have on Moodle.
Yes.
If you go to Moodle, we have our page there where we have all these guides that I've shared with you. So this is our Moodle page, the writing place. It should appear for everyone. So we have guides there at the bottom, like the APA, because there's different modules use different referencing. So it might differ. What I was showing you, I was just showing you the Harvard referencing guide. So there is APA which differs slightly from Harvard referencing, but it's almost the same. So we do have guides there, and we have the writing place guide. The writing place guide goes in more detail to what we've just discussed in terms of formulating your essay, answering the question properly, the referencing, and everything you need to equip yourself to making your essays a bit better. So, but for now, because of this lockdown, because we cannot do face-to-face consultations, when you've done your essay and you just need it to be checked, you can email it to this address, writing place hum@ukzn.ac.za, and then the return, you just give us around 48 hours because we do have a lot of traffic and work that comes to us. So you just email your work. Make sure that you include the full topic so we can see whether we're answering the topic correctly. Make sure you include your reference list so we see that you understood referencing and you did the reference properly, and so that you can see whether the people you've quoted or you've in-text referenced in the top are actually also mentioned in the reference list in full. I think I'll take questions if we have any questions, because I see we have 5 minutes left. Do we have any questions?
Bonito, people in the chat are asking for you to please repeat the email address.
Okay, the email address is writing place. Okay, let me just put it up on screen for the people who are here. It is Writing Place, HUM at ukzn.ac.za. So basically, it's Writing Place, HUM for humanities, but it's just HUM at ukzn.ac.za. So just make sure that you have the full topic there. You have the reference list completed. Yeah, then we will edit. Oh, let me just show you briefly, because when you edit your work, because some people that have problems after can you see my page right now? Because I'm trying to open Word and is it sharing it?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we edit your work, you will see that the comments will be on the side. If we make changes or we're asking you what's happening, we make it on the side. Once you've made the corrections, you just right click. You just right click there and say accept deletion or accept or reject deletion or whatever. But because we're working this way now, some people are having problems with addressing the comments and whatnot. So you just make sure you read that aside, and then you see the comments and then address it accordingly. Okay, any more questions?
Is the due date out?
No, for which module? The due dates are module specific, so you need to ask your lecturer or your tutors if the due dates are out for submission. But
Okay.
Sina, at the writing place, we take essays every day.
Oh,
Just make sure that you submit to us early, so that we will be able to give you the necessary time to make changes.
okay, understood.
Any more questions?
Hey, I wanted to ask you if I'm allowed to reference in the introduction.
As my colleague said, in the introduction, what we're looking for is for you to give a person an idea of what you're doing in the body. So, for instance, she made an example about crime. So you will tell the reader what you'll be doing step by step in your body. So try and start defining in the first paragraph of the body. Let's say if you're defining crime, you start defining crime in the body. In the body, just in the introduction, just say this essay is going to be looking at crime and the factors that contribute to crime. Then you can just list those factors that you're going to be discussing in the body. Don't necessarily start quoting and referencing in the introduction. Just introduce the topic, say what you're going to be doing in the essay, and then because it's going to be, it mustn't be longer than 5 lines, because now that's a paragraph. It's supposed to be introduction, introducing the topic, telling the reader what to expect and what you'll be doing in the essay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, any more question?
Yes. Can you please
Okay.
repeat? Can you please repeat on how to reference the online article? How do I reference it in text referencing and on the list? Thank you.
Okay, in the in-text reference, it's going to be the same as others. It's just going to be the surname of the author. It's going to be the surname of the author and then the year. But when you do it, when you in the reference list, it's going to be, I'm just sharing my screen. I think you're going to be out of time now. Okay, in the online one, you see it like this. You're gonna have the surname, the title, and then the publication indication of where the essay is from, and then at the end you will have viewed ads or accessed ads, the dates which you viewed the essay in. After that, hello, can you still hear me?
Funny, so I've posted meeting details. If you can just join, it'll give us another 40 minutes when this one ends to do Q&A if you wish.